What's going on, everybody? Scott Bogman here for BettingPros to give you my favorite picks and props for the remaining non-playoff college football bowl games that we have left here, going all the way through January 2nd. I hope you guys had a great holiday and enjoy your upcoming new year as well. We got a lot to cover, but I'm going to do the remaining bowl games here, and then Seth and I will do the playoff games individually in individual shows by themselves, and we'll give you our picks and props for those games on those shows. So today I will be giving you my picks and props for the remaining games. I have 6 picks for the bowls. I have 5 leans in those games. We've got 11 of those bowl games left, so 6 picks official that'll go into my record. And then a couple leans here because these bowl games do get a little bit wonky with opt-outs and all that good stuff. And I have some props for you. I don't typically like props in these games, so I'm sticking mainly to quarterback props here. But I will have more for you in the playoffs as well. So let's get into it. But before we do, let me remind you guys, if you're looking to up your game in sports betting, join our exclusive sports betting Discord community at bettingpros.com/chat. Not only can you connect with expert handicappers who provide free picks for the NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, player props, live betting, and more, but now you can also participate in our weekly community picks, cast your vote, and see how your picks stack up against the experts and track your success. All right, so in our show I think it was like 10 days ago at this point, is the longest we've been between shows since the season kicked off, but 4-3 in picks. We did get Bama, we got Miami, we got Ole Miss. We didn't get James Madison and did not cover that 21.5, but we did get the over in that game. Missed my Hard Rock bet of the week here. 49.5 was a total. They ended up with 55. They scored a touchdown, Washington State did, in the last couple seconds to hit the over there and mess up my under. UNLV lost straight up to Ohio, 17-10, not as distracted as I thought. So 4-3 there, putting us at 82-71 on the season on the picks. Props, another, just one below 500 here, 4-5, putting us at 76-81. We got the Q1 Lacey touchdown. Marcel Reed did have over 1 interception here. He had 2. Didn't get the passing touchdowns for Chambliss or the rushing yards for Retzlaff. Didn't get the rushing yards for Whittington, but we did crush the Mark Fletcher one. I wish I would have laddered that one. 172 rushing yards for him was insane. And then my wide receivers, I whiffed on all 3 of those. So Bernard, Satanga, Harrison Wallace, all well under their totals there, putting me at 76-81. So 6 games over 500 completely on both of these for the season. All right, let's get in to what we are actually taking. I'll give you the leans after, and then, of course, my props and the Hard Rock bet of the week at the end here. So we're going to start in the Music City Bowl on Tuesday. We're going to take Tennessee minus 2.5 against Illinois in this game. Tennessee is missing more pieces of their team in this one, but I'm still going to lay the 2.5 and take them in what is essentially a home game being played in Memphis here for them. Both quarterbacks, Joey Aguilar for Tennessee and Luke Altmyer for Illinois, are going to play, so the over is in play as well here. I feel like the Vols offense still has Staley, Matthews, and Bishop. That's 2 of their 3 top wide receivers. Of course, Chris Brazzell opting out of this game, but their offense is still fairly intact outside of their best wide receiver, which is a loss, but I don't think it will kill them. Illinois still has their top offensive producers for the bowl game, and Altmyer, Beatty, and both running backs. The Vols' bigger issues and opt-outs are on the defensive side: cornerback Colton Hood, defensive end Joshua Josephs, and linebacker Arian Carter, which should make it a little bit easier for Illinois to score. The Vols are missing only Brazzell on offense, so I like the Vols to both win this game, and I feel like the over is potentially in play at 61.5 as well. So we'll just lock in both those. So we'll go with Tennessee minus 2.5 and the over 61.5 in that game as well. All right, let's move to Wednesday. That's the only official take I have in the 3 games that are on Tuesday. Let's move to Wednesday, the ReliaQuest Bowl, Iowa versus Vanderbilt. We're going to go under the 46.5 in this game. I love it. 2 fully intact rosters, it seems here. It should be a great game. The game can go either way. I'm probably going to lean toward Vandy in the game, but taking a look at the 4 losses, 3 of those were against great offenses: Indiana, Oregon, USC, and the Iowa State loss was a weird rivalry game. But all of those games went under, right? Vandy's offense is way better than their defense, but luckily for them, this is a terrible matchup for Iowa's offense because Vandy is weak against the pass, but top 15 against the run, and Iowa runs it over 57% of the time. So there's likely to be some wrinkles in this game drawn up on both sides, but I expect this to be a tight, low-scoring, drag you into the mud type of Iowa game with lots of field position and punts. So the total here is 46.5. We're going to go under that total. All right, let's move to the Sun Bowl, ASU versus Duke on Wednesday. Easy take on Duke here, in my opinion. There will be some missing players for Duke going to the NFL: right tackle Brian Parker, cornerback Chandler Rivers, defensive end Vincent Anthony. But Arizona State is down so many pieces. It's crazy. Obviously, no Sam Levitt, wide receiver Jordan Tyson's off to the NFL draft, running back Rayleigh Brown, draft, tight end Shimon Mateer, draft, Max Eichenar, draft. Their cornerback, Keith Abney, was one of the best corners in the draft, is also gone, and linebacker Keyshawn Elliott also gone. So the extra time to prep is great for ASU to get, Jeff Sims ready and all that stuff. And he started a bunch of games at the end, so he has experience, but Duke has almost their whole team intact, and we return one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Darian Mensah could have been a decent pick, probably a Tyler Shuck type second rounder if he goes into this draft with a weak quarterback class, but he decided to stay. So I think Duke wins this by way more than 3. So we're going to lay the 3 points here and take Duke. We're going to go to the Citrus Bowl on Wednesday as well. This is Texas versus Michigan. The over here is 47.5, and that's where we're going to go. Now, I know that there's a lot of distractions from Michigan, so if you want to lay the 7.5 and take Texas, I understand that as well. But for me, I think the over is the best play in this game by a decent margin. Texas is down 7 of 11 starters on defense. But outside of, they did have a bunch of running backs leave. Seems like they're going to get Jayden Ball from Florida in the transfer portal. They also hired the Florida running back coach, so I think that's going to happen. But, DeAndre Moore also optioned out, but you have Arch, you have Christian Clark at running back, and you still have Ryan Wingo and Jack Andrews. The offensive line seems to be intact as of now. I know Gooseby is making a decision on whether he wants to go to the NFL draft, but I think he's going to play the game and then decide. So we have a bunch of missing starters for the Texas defense, and we do have Michigan returning a lot of players, but on their defense, they're missing their top 2 edge rushers, Derek Moore and Jayshon Barham are gone. Texas also fired their defensive coordinator, Pete Kwiatkowski. So I think the fact that Bryce Underwood is going to stay, Biff Poggi really has got these guys as focused as he can get them. Obviously, there's a lot going on at Michigan with Sharon Moore and Whittingham coming in and all that stuff, but Poggi's done a really good job here. So I think we're going to get to the over. I think Arch is going to have to sling it a bunch, and without those edge rushers that Michigan has, I think Texas is going to be able to score, and with Texas missing 7 of 11 starters on defense, I think that Michigan is going to be able to move the ball a little bit. So over 47.5 is my play in that game. Let's go to the Vegas Bowl, which is going to be Nebraska versus Utah. We're going to go Nebraska team total under 17.5 in this one. Finally, we're getting a team total here, but Nebraska struggled without Raiola. They were okay behind TJ Lateef, but that was also with running back Emmett Johnson, who has gone to prep for the NFL. Lateef missed some practice time with an injury as well. Their team total is 17.5, so that is where we're going to go under that. I'm not super confident in Utah here. Both starting offensive tackles will be gone. They're both going to be high first-round picks in Spencer Fano and Caleb Lomu. I think there's enough with Dampier playing to lean towards Utah, but I'm much more confident that Nebraska won't score. Emmett Johnson not only led them in rushing with over 1,400 yards, but he led them in receptions as well. So we're just going to stick to the team total under without their leading rusher in Emmett Johnson. So under 17.5 for Nebraska as the team total. Our leans here in the Tuesday in the Independence Bowl between Coastal Carolina and La Tech. I would lean La Tech minus 9.5 and under 51.5. This is basically a home game for La Tech and Shreveport. I'm going to take the lean towards the Bulldogs here. Neither of these teams are very good, but I feel like the offensive players missing for Coastal outweigh the defensive players missing for La Tech. Quarterback Sam Collier is out. Starting offensive tackles are in the portal. They fired their head coach Tim Beck on November 30th, and defensive coordinator Jeremiah Johnson is taking over for this game. The four players with the highest snap count for La Tech on defense are in the portal. I'm going to lean towards La Tech here. They're playing in their old stadium. This is basically a home game for them. I'll also lean towards the under with the Chance offense being awful this season. La Tech down to their third-string quarterback in Trey Cucker. He's been rough passing, but he adds a nice rushing element, so I think they burn the clock. They win this game, what is basically a home game being played at their old home stadium. Let's go to the Alamo Bowl, USC versus TCU. We're going to take TCU plus the 6.5 here. And this is going to be a lean, of course, but I wanted to take TCU, but I decided to make this a lean instead of a take when Josh Hoover opted out here. So Ken Seals has started some games at Vandy. He's going to take over for TCU here, but he was obviously replaced by Diego Pavia a couple seasons ago. USC will be without their two highest graded defensive players and safeties, Bishop Fitzgerald and Kamari Ramsey, along with their number one defensive end in snaps, Anthony Lucas, their number one linebacker in snaps, Eric Gentry, rotational edge, Shaquem Stewart is injured, and their top two wide receivers, Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane, their number one tight end, Lake McCree, are gone, prepping for the NFL draft. Their left tackle, Elijah Page, is hurt. Their right guard, Alani Noah, is out of this game as well. So I just don't really trust USC here. TCU, I also don't trust with Ken Seals. But they're returning a lot on defense. A lot of the other pieces are coming back for TCU. So if Ken Seals can play a decent game, I think they can stay within a touchdown here and make it a closer game. So we'll take them. But again, just a lean. Another lean here. We go to Friday, the Armed Forces Bowl, Rice versus Texas State. It's Texas State minus 11.5. I'll take them. Rice stinks. They got in because, other teams opted out. They were 5-7. But Texas State is 4-8 against the spread this season. So Rice is down. Quarterback Chase Jenkins. That might be an improvement for them. They were really bad on offense. They were second to last in passing, 119th in scoring. The Bobcats were 15th in scoring, and they're returning all but three of their players. And as far as I know, as it stands right now, their quarterback Brad Jackson, for Texas State, had over 3,000 passing yards and almost 700 rushing yards with 16 rushing touchdowns as well. So I'll lay the 11.5. Take the Bobcats. The Rice defense performed well below average this season, so we'll take Texas State in this game against a bad Rice team. The Duke's Mayo Bowl, Mississippi State -3 versus Wake Forest is where we're going to go there. This one is really the one that I see as the hardest. The next two are really fairly hard, in my opinion. This should be a pretty good game. I hate to pick a side here, but Wake Forest has been one of the better defenses in the country. They have won me a lot of money, but Wake Forest has also given up some big totals to Duke, FSU, NC State. Mississippi State is 6-6 to the over. They might start Kamario Taylor again. It might be Blake Shapen. So we'll see. I mean, Kamario Taylor's good, but he is inexperienced. Wake is going to be missing one of their best interior defensive linemen, Mateen Ibriogba, and running back Demon Claiborne is off to prep for the draft here. So I'm in between. Wake Forest has been inconsistent, either wrecking their opposing offense or getting flattened. Miss State has played hard this season. They deserve a bowl, even though they were 5-7 below average. They had the 11th hardest strength of schedule this season. So I think that is what I'm going to take. I'm going to take a Mississippi State team that has been battle-tested. They've been through a lot of tough games. They should have beat Texas. They obviously choked that one away, but I just also really don't want to count on Robbie Ashford. So I'll lean towards Miss State in this game, but I will not have money on it. All right, let's go to the last game here. I'll give you a lean on the Holiday Bowl. Arizona -2.5 versus SMU. Arizona's been a killer on defense. SMU has been solid on defense, although the passing defense has been atrocious. The scoring defense has been decent. SMU has been another team with terrible time of possession. They're 131st in the country, and even though they're top 12 in the passing offense, the Wildcats counter with the fourth best passing defense, and they also graded second according to PFF. Arizona doesn't put a ton of pressure on opposing passers, but they were number 1 in turnover margin and number 3 in turnovers forced. So they do go after the football very well, even if it's not through pressure on the quarterback. SMU is 8th in turnover margin as well. But they're, again, way better at taking it away than they are giving it away. So 2 experienced quarterbacks in Fafita and Jennings, 2 strong defenses. This game is really going to be on a bounce with both these teams being so good at getting after the ball on defense and forcing turnovers. That is going to determine this game, which is why I'm not really going to be jumping up and down to pick one of these teams. I'll lean towards Arizona. This game, the Holiday Bowl's in San Diego, which is a short drive from Arizona. I don't know that Arizona travels really well. I don't know that SMU does either. They do have a lot of rich donors. But I believe in Fafita here. And that's hard for me to say. I haven't really been a believer in Fafita in his collegiate career, but this season, only 7 turnovers, 5 interceptions, 2 fumbles. He holds on to the ball well. This is why they're number 1 in turnover margin in the country, and their defense has been really, really stout this year. So I'll lean Arizona minus 2.5 here. All right, let's get to the props here. But before I do, let me remind you guys, if you want to track your bets, stay accountable, and level up, download the BettingPros app. With Sportsbook Sync, you can automatically track your bets across all major sportsbooks in one spot. Easily monitor your bet performance by sport and bet type, include game picks, props, and parlays. You can create your own custom betting systems to find trends and profitable opportunities. Get a 7-day free trial of BettingPros Premium by using the code JUICE, JUICE, and activating your trial on the upgrade screen. All right, I told you my props were kind of limited here. I'm going to give you 2 touchdown props. We're going to go with Jayden Maiava versus TCU, the quarterback for USC. He is playing in this game. He's returning to USC for another year. And we're going to go with Texas wide receiver Ryan Wingo versus Michigan. Again, I expect the over to be in play in that Texas game. I expect Arch to sling it a lot, specifically because the running backs left. And I just think Jayden Maiava is going to run one in. Without those wide receivers, they're going to count on him a little bit more. He is coming back for another year, so he's going to play in this game, and I think he's going to do a little bit with his legs. We saw that against Nebraska when he did play very well. Illinois quarterback Luke Altmyer over 244.5 passing yards versus Tennessee. Again, we think that game is going to be very high scoring. They get Hank Beatty is back as well. Extremely experienced, a lot of practice. He's going to know a lot of trends versus what was a tough Tennessee defense this season. Very beat up as well, and a lot of guys not playing in this game. SMU quarterback Kevin Jennings, we mentioned about that Arizona defense being so good against the pass here. We're going to go under his 240.5 passing yards versus Arizona. He does a lot with his legs as well, which I think he's going to have to do in this game because that that pass defense for Arizona is so good. So I expect him to be under this total, maybe over his rushing total, but I just didn't want to mess with it. Texas quarterback Arch Manning over 1.5 passing touchdowns versus Michigan. Again, no running backs. We're picking Ryan Wingo for a touchdown here. I think Jack Endries can catch one as well. His old roommate Parker Livingstone is in play for a touchdown as well. I think Arch is going to have to sling it in this game to beat Michigan, and they should be passing way more because those edge rushers are out from Michigan. We're going to go to Michigan quarterback Bryce Underwood over half a passing touchdown versus Texas because, again, Texas is missing 7 and 11 defenders, and that was almost my Hard Rock bet of the week was the over in that game, but I think we have one just a little bit better than that. And then TCU quarterback Ken Seals over half an interception versus USC. USC is missing some pieces, but Ken Seals hasn't started in a while. Over 2 seasons here. Don't really like him starting in this game because Josh Hoover left. And Josh Hoover left kind of late. I don't know if he practiced at all, but he is gone, and Ken Seals is going to end up starting this game. So I think over half an interception. If he doesn't throw one early, I think maybe late when they're losing to USC and trying to play catch up here. Plus 6.5. We're still taking TCU, but I think that Ken Seals is definitely going to throw a pick. All right, let's get to the hard rock bet of the week. But before I do, let me remind you guys that today's show is brought to you by our presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet, Florida Sportsbook, and the official sportsbook partner of your favorite Florida teams like the Jags, Bucks, Heat, Magic, and Panthers. It's Week 18. Playoff spots are on the line. If you think you know how it's going to go, build a same-game parlay on Hard Rock Bet and turn game day into payday. Or if you're more into the hardwood than the gridiron, you can put up shots on the NBA and college every night on Hard Rock Bet, your home for hoops action all season long. You can even combine your football and basketball bets. If you've got a Week 18 parlay, add an NBA bet or player prop to it and turn up that payout. If you miss the start of the game, don't worry. Hard Rock Bet has live in-game betting. You heard Seth and I talking about that when we were watching the Oklahoma and Alabama playoff game. That was a lot of fun. So if you've never too late to bet on any football or hoops game as long as it's on all season. Find a winner or grab the player prop you had circled and bet live in just a few easy taps. If you haven't tried your first bet on Hard Rock Bet, there's still time for you to get a $150 bonus bets if you win. Just place a $5 bet, and if it hits, and you get not only your winnings, but also $150 in bonus bets, easy peasy. The Hard Rock Bet Sportsbook app is the only legal sportsbook for whenever you're in Florida. It's also live in Arizona, Ohio, New Jersey, Indiana, Tennessee, Virginia, Illinois, Colorado, and Michigan, and it's coming soon to more states as well. Plus, the Hard Rock Bet offers new promos every single day. So whenever you're listening, just open up the app and check out what we've got any single day of the week. Download the Hard Rock Bet app and make your first deposit today. All right, Hard Rock Bet of the week is going to be on the Liberty Bowl. We're going to lay the 7.5, and we're going to take Navy in this game. Military academies is the rule during bowl season here. Everyone is going to be up and playing for Navy. Cincy is going to be down a lot of defensive players, specifically in the secondary, which shouldn't matter too much. But Horvath can throw the ball. He's had as many as 26 pass attempts in this triple option in a game this year against Air Force. So I do think that they are going to be able to pass. And y'all have heard me bash on Cincy all year for their time of possession. They finished dead last. Navy is 17th. They grind teams away. The biggest missing piece that's going to hurt Cincinnati in this game is their interior defensive lineman, the Godfather, Dante Corleone, who was a massive interior run stuffer. Navy is going to run with obviously Horvath, Texa, Heidenreich, and if the time of possession is in their favor, as we are predicting here, they should start wearing out that D with the run game and just have big chunk plays in the second half if they are dominating in time of possession. No Brendan Sorsby for Cincinnati in this game is obviously a massive blow for Cincinnati as well. I would probably take Cincy if Sorsby was playing in this game, but he's in the portal, looking like Indiana. We'll see where he ends up. But Navy minus 7.5 is my favorite of the remaining non-playoff bowl games. So easy take on Navy minus 7.5. So let's recap before we take off. And then if you want to hear about the playoff games, tune in with Seth and I, giving you all those breakdowns plus props in those shows. So our picks for this week, we are going to take in the Music City Bowl, Tennessee minus 2.5 versus Illinois and over 61.5. We are going to go under 46.5 in the ReliaQuest Bowl, Iowa versus Vandy. We are going to take Duke minus 3 in the Sun Bowl, Duke versus Arizona State. We're going to take the over 47.5 in the Citrus Bowl, Texas versus Michigan. We are going with Nebraska's team total under 17.5 against Utah in the Las Vegas Bowl. Our Hard Rock Bet of the week on Friday is the Liberty Bowl, Navy minus 7.5 for Cincinnati. Leans La Tech minus 8.5 and under 51.5 versus Coastal. In the Independence Bowl, TCU plus 6.5 versus USC, who's missing a lot of pieces in the Alamo Bowl. Texas State minus 11.5 versus Rice in the Armed Forces Bowl. Mississippi State minus 3 against Wake in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. And Arizona minus 2.5 versus SMU in the Holiday Bowl. The props are touchdowns for Jayden Maiava, the quarterback of USC versus TCU, and wide receiver Ryan Wingo versus Michigan from Texas. Quarterback Luke Altmyer over 244.5 passing yards for Illinois versus Tennessee. Quarterback Kevin Jennings for SMU under 240.5 passing yards versus Arizona. Arch Manning over 1.5 passing touchdowns versus Michigan. Bryce Underwood over half a passing touchdown versus Texas. And Ken Seals over half an interception versus USC. That is it for me. I believe that wraps me up for individual shows. Maybe I'll have one more this year. This season, I guess I should say. It won't be till 2026, that's for sure. But check out those playoff shows with Seth and I. We'll be back, and we'll be covering all of the playoff games remaining. So please stick with this channel, stick with us, and we will help you with your bets. Take it easy, everybody. I'll see you next time.